If the traditional creeds and the standard doctrines don't work so much for you anymore, well, you may be one of the enlightened ones. You may be a Renaissance thinker like Galileo or Newton. We invite you to come and join us on that spiritual quest, that spiritual journey. Come on in.
Welcome to Lake Harriet Spiritual Community, where we accept all paths to the divine. So you come here and explore what path that is. At this point, I want to do a meet and greet. Is there anybody here for the first time? Do we have any new visitors? Very good. Well, make sure you greet these people. Everybody get up and greet everyone else. I want you to get up, love in your hearts, grab them by the shoulders, look into their eyes and say, who dressed you this morning? Let's see the love, people. Let's see the love.
Let me see. Our potluck is Sunday, July 1st, followed by a bike outing on July 8th, an outdoor picnic on July 15th, and a motorcycle ride on July 29th. And that's all the news from Lake Harriet, where the women are strong, the men are catching up, and all the children are downstairs.
From the darkness into the light. When you leave here today, by the time you walk out those doors today, you're going to have an understanding that you are part of the enlightenment. You are part of the enlightened ones. And what's really exciting is yesterday morning, just 24 hours ago, something happened that's been happening for 5,000 years at Newgrange. People gathered, and as the sun rose yesterday, and only yesterday, this tiny shaft of sunlight comes up over the horizon and pierces through this tiny little aperture in the stone and makes its way all the way down to the floor of this stone cathedral, illuminating a design on the floor of stars and moon and the seasons. The birthday of the unconquered sun. The sun got lower and lower and lower and lower and slowed down, but it didn't die. It wasn't conquered. It didn't happen. And then it started to rise again. And on the day it started to rise, that was the birthday of the unconquered sun. Deus Natalis Invicti Solis. The date at which the sun was perceptibly beginning to rise, December 25th. Let your eyes look directly ahead. Let your gaze be fixed straight in front of you. I'm picturing that National Geographic program that we've all seen, where the eagle's nest is way tucked up in the rocks, that craggy rock cliff, and you see the mother and the father eagle swoop in, and the baby's there. And then the mother and father fly off, and you see him get, fluffled his feathers. But if you watch that video, you watch him get close to the edge of the nest, and he looks down, and and you can just see him backing up. No, bring that. And the new paradigm was the shift from the strictures of the law to love. New wine in old skins. Everybody knows that one? Well, what he was talking about was if you have old ways of thinking, if you have that old paradigm consciousness, it's going to be difficult, not impossible, but difficult for you to shift that thinking and look at it a new way. But you can't keep looking at it the old way. You can't put new wine in old skins. You have to start afresh. And the paradigm of the story of the prodigal son, it's the same thing. Now, those of you who are not familiar with that, this father had two sons. And then the prodigal son comes back. And the father accepts him and takes him into his arms and forgives him and has mercy on him and loves him like the son that he is. And the older son says, wait a minute. I was here the whole time. I was working a lot. I was doing all the stuff you asked me to do. I was doing A, B, C, D, E. And the father said, I forgive. I have mercy. It's amazing for me to watch children, little children, 4 or 5 years old, who will sit and their eyes are just agape and they're just, it's like a little vacuum. They're sucking up everything you say and do
and emote. They're just sucking it up. I'm also a Cancer, and you know we're very passionate. I'm not really into that metaphysical horoscope kind of stuff. Cancers usually aren't. So my mother would be sitting in the passenger seat and she'd be reading her romance novels. Has anybody picked one of these up and read it? Well, it's pornography is what it is if you read these things. You know, she sticks her head up, looks around the car, doesn't smell smoke, nobody's bleeding. You know, the count is right, 3, 4, 6, okay. Then she goes back to her reading. Her beauty almost took his breath away. He showed his teeth in a wolf's grin, ignored her outstretched hand, and lifted her down from the chariot by the waist. A great cheer went up from the ranks when his powerful hands closed about her tiny waist and lifted her to his side. The general ignored them, giving his full attention to the beautiful woman who had actually been bold enough to seek him out in front of 1,000 men. That's the only paragraph that I could find to read you people. And we're all driving. Of course, Mother's buried in the book. She doesn't know. Well, we see a train coming. Or excuse me, a train is going in the same direction we are. Train's going about 45, 50. We're going about 55, 60. We're slowly gaining on the train. We see the train. All the kids see the train. Dad sees the train. Everybody sees the train. Not Mother. Now, this is where it gets dicey because you see, Dad knew the train was coming. And I'm sitting in the back seat with the spare tire, and all of a sudden my eyes look right at Dad's eyes in the mirror, and he gives me one of those. You know, and I'm thinking, oh, this is going to be good.
Someday, after we have harnessed for God the power in the wind and the waves and the tides and in gravity, someday when we've harnessed all the energy, when we've gotten all the computer stuff out of the way and we can just blink our left eye and have anything we want because we've handled it all, we've got all the stuff we need physically. When we've harnessed all the energy we need to, after then, we will master for God the energies of love. And for the second time in the history of the world, man will have discovered fire. You go, girls and boys, from the darkness into the light.